All right, excellent. Well, welcome to our July Workforce Wednesday webinar. Today we are going to focus on elevating employability skills and work-based learning opportunities. And we have a wonderful speaker lineup ahead for you all. And before we get started, my name is Rachel Ludwig. I'm the Vice President here at the Florida Chamber Foundation and leading our talent and education efforts. I just want to thank our sponsor, NAF and NoPro, for really supporting this webinar. And again, really excited about our speaker lineup for today. Just want to share a few kind of housekeeping items before we get started. So feel free to use, the Q&A function, throughout the webinar. If you have questions, we'll try to answer them as we go along, and then also leave time at the end if there are any questions that go unanswered. And then, of course, we always are asked if the webinars are recorded and if they'll be sent out after. And yes, they are. They're recorded and sent out after to everyone who registers. So just know that if there's something you missed or you want to revisit, there's a lot of information in our slides, and the speakers have a lot of information to share. So we will be sending those out. So actually, we can go to the next slide. Our agenda for today, you can see our speaker lineup. We have 4 amazing speakers lined up for you all. I'll give a brief update at the beginning, just of some Talent Center engagement opportunities and resources, but really looking, to set the stage on employability skills. Again, our sponsor, NAF and NoPro, RJ Holder, will give a brief introduction of NAF and the NoPro platform and opportunities. And then we have a couple employer in actions, which I'm excited about. We have Joel Blamey from KPMG, who's going to speak about his investment in time and partnership with different organizations such as NAF and NoPro, and why that's important for employers to put in that time. I'm really excited. And then we also have our Future of Work Advisory Board member, Ralph Aiello from Zello. We'll talk about work-based learning and how Florida employers can get involved, as well as schools or educators can get involved in this statewide effort. Finally, we have another Future of Work Advisory Board member, Lori Adams, from Coca-Cola, Florida, and she's going to talk about some of the programming they have in place to really increase, the work-based learning opportunities. So thank you again to our speakers today. If you go to the next slide and actually kind of go forward, I want to share a couple updates. So last time we met, I had mentioned that we were doing our statewide industry immersion for career influencers program. And this was a pilot program, and you can see a variety of locations in Florida. We had 7 cohorts and over 165 educator participants that spanned K through 12, post-secondary career advisors, as well as counselors. And what this program did was basically bring together our industry partners and do almost a work-based learning opportunity for our educators who have those direct relationships with students. And we did a hybrid model where we had virtual sessions sharing different resources. Some of them I'll share today. But really, the key part of this was that we had our educators actually go into the field and spend time with our industry partners and meet with folks who are in high demand careers and really learn about, what those skills are needed, what those high demand careers are, what are the career pathways offered in these organizations, and start to form those relationships so that those work-based learning opportunities can continue statewide. So I just wanted to share one slide with you, if you go to the next slide, of our industry immersion, kind of a snapshot of what they look like across the state. You can see there was a lot of different things that were done, anything from healthcare, and even seeing, the helicopter and sort of the med flight at Tampa General. Coke, Florida was also a host of this. In the Jacksonville area, we had Miller Electric, Advent Health, Florida Power and Light hosted a very large group in South Florida. Tico as well in Tampa. We were very, very thrilled with this. And so we want to continue this next year and hopefully expand to other areas and other companies. So I'll be sending out more information with an interest form in the upcoming weeks. But I just wanted to share about this because we started generating excitement about this last summer, and then it came to fruition in June. So it does take a lot of planning and coordination with the employer partners as well as the educators, and we hope that y'all will, be excited and get involved next time. So you can go to the next slide. I want to share just a couple kind of survey results. So the key things with this was we wanted to increase the understanding of high demand careers available as well as the skills needed for those, as well as the confidence in being able to articulate what those opportunities are. Because so many times our educators really on the front lines doing all the work, at the local level are truly influencers of what career pathways are explored. And so we just found, a really positive, overwhelmingly positive results when we did our feedback sample survey. And so I just wanted to share that with you all, again, to generate some buzz and interest for next time, which I'll be sending out a follow-up with. So you can go to the next slide. The other event that we recently had that actually, was really exciting was our Learners to Earners Workforce Summit. So some of you might have been there, and thank you for attending if you did. If you did attend, you know that we had over 400 individuals attend that event. It was a sold out, packed house. Here are some snips from the event that I pulled. But we're really excited, that we have just such great momentum with the partnership of, the folks that are speaking today and continued partnership, but also all of you that are working to kind of improve Florida's talent pipeline into the future. So again, thank you for all those who spoke as well as those attended. And we'll be holding it next year, June 23rd in Tampa as well. And then one more thank you before I just share a couple of resources and information with you to our Future of Work Advisory Board. So as you noticed, there's a lot of companies that step up and invest in the work as well as their thought leadership. And, it takes time, but as some of our speakers will share today, that's time, it's work worth doing because we are working together to basically develop the talent that we want to see in our students, right? And so that takes mentorship, that takes intentionality and partnership. And so this group really continuously steps up to the plate, and I'm so thankful for their leadership statewide. You can go to the next slide. So we always show this slide at the beginning of our presentations, webinars, what have you. And I guess the key point here is, the Florida Chamber and the Florida Chamber Foundation is really, leading in setting, I would say, bold goals for 2030 to help us get to the 10th largest global economy. And today we would be the 16th largest global economy if we were a country. So we have made a lot of strides since this 2030 blueprint was created years back. But one of the things that I continuously look for, somebody who's in sort of the workforce talent development space, is, what are the net new jobs that we need to create, and what is the population trends and things like that we continue to see. And so we actually need to create 1.3 million net new jobs by 2030. We continue to add jobs. We get updates from our economists every single month. But there's an interesting, kind of demographic situation happening because we have a lot of retirements expected. We know that our early career and mid-career folks that are here in Florida are going to see those growth opportunities more rapidly probably than some of us that are, more mid-career, late career now have seen, just because of demographics and how many folks that are in that upper age bracket are living and working here in Florida. And then we also have some barriers on sort of the entry point to the workforce, such as, childcare access and maybe education attainment with individuals not having a GED yet. So we're continuing to kind of watch that and put all those pieces together. One thing about the migration stats is Florida continues to be, the state that people want to move to. So more people are moving here. And we feel that on our highways, we feel that, in traffic and things like that. But I just am fascinated by the net migration numbers because that obviously impacts the workforce and who's here to be able to take those high demand careers. You can go to the next slide. So we have seen this, the workforce and labor market balance out in terms of the number of people looking for work versus every 100 positions open. I've been in this role, I've been here now about 2.5 years, and I've seen it as low as 62 statewide, but it's really creeped up to sort of seemingly balanced. One thing though to point out is it's very different depending on the county. And then also it's, not necessarily reflective of the skills, a skills match. And so just because we have about a balance doesn't mean that those folks looking are also skilled for the open role. So that's something that we continuously hear from the employer side, is they're still looking for those folks to be skilled and ready. This scorecard that is demonstrated here. So here are our 2030 blueprint goals. There's 6 under the talent pillar, and we track these on our Florida scorecard tool. The green means trending in the right direction, and red means trending in the wrong direction. So the positive here is that we have seen growth from the last release of this data. And 2 percentage points for, 3rd grade reading and 8th grade math, and then increase in education attainment overall as well. So we're continually monitoring this and sharing this. You can see it at the county level as well. So if you're interested in seeing how your county sort of moved from last year's results to this year, you can go to the Florida scorecard to see that. Couple resources, and then we'll kick it over to our speakers today. We will be updating this, but I always like to share this because I do think it's a really, really valuable resource. We have created what we're calling our top 30 high demand careers resource. This is available by state as well as workforce region. And what we did is we looked out to 2032 and we projected which careers, what are the top 30 careers with the highest total job openings. And so things like general operations managers, truck drivers, registered nurses, those top 5 that you see, they do show up regularly in the different workforce regions that we have. But we also, with a caveat, only selected those careers that were median salary or higher. So all of the careers that you'll see listed in the statewide list or your workforce region list, those are all deemed, high demand careers that have those high growth projections, but will also be median salary or higher. So we've identified what the education pathways look like too. So what requirements for each. And the data should be out for a new version of this in the next couple of months. So we're really excited to kind of revisit this, but this is a resource that's been very, very popular. And so I encourage you to check it out. And then finally, I'll share that actually there's 2 slides left on my end. We launched our Florida Talent Center Data Hub, and this tool is truly a game changer for talent pipeline planning and strategic partnerships, really across the talent continuum from early learning, basically from birth all the way through workforce. So we have a toolkit that we created. You can access it, with the QR code. We'll send these out later, of course. But the site is live. It's fltalentdata.org. And there's tons of different data points that you can see. And we've also added some, context to these so that we will help guide you and why you're seeing the data that you're seeing. So everything that's impacting talent and education and workforce is kind of there. And what we've also done is we're going to be releasing a series of case studies for how individuals either are using it or could use it. And so the first 2 that were released this week focused on kind of looking at 3rd grade literacy and early learning in Hillsborough County, which is the Tampa region. And then as well as how our employer partners could leverage this tool for talent pipeline planning in the Orlando kind of Central Florida region, especially focused on healthcare, IT, and advanced manufacturing. So those case studies are available. Again, we'll be releasing some more throughout, the upcoming months, but just wanted to share that with you. And you can contact me if there's any other questions with that. So awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to kick it over to RJ Holder from NAF to kind of share a little bit more about NAF and the No Pro program. And again, I want to thank them for their sponsorship of this webinar today. So take it away, RJ. Really appreciate you being here.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is RJ Holder, and I have the pleasure of serving on the innovation team at NAF. And I'm super happy to talk to you today about who NAF is, what we do, and the impact that we are having nationwide, but specifically the impact that we're having in Florida. So Building future-ready students. That's with No Pro and NAF. Let's get into it. So we'll start with what is NAF and what do we do, right? So NAF is a nonprofit in the education space that partners with high schools to prepare students for college, career, and future success. NAF co-develops academies with local communities, and these academies provide students with work-based learning experiences, industry professionals, helping them build the relevant skills needed to succeed in an evolving workforce. NAF academies are career-specific public high school programs that prepare students for college and careers and future success by combining the following: industry-relevant curriculum in fields like finance, health sciences, engineering, IT, and hospitality, work-based learning experiences like internships, projects, mentorship, and job shadowing, partnerships with local businesses to connect students with real-world and hands-on opportunities, supportive teacher and advisory networks to ensure that students gain both technical and employability skills. Now, these academies operate, again, within existing schools and are co-developed with local communities to meet workforce demands. NAF does not directly build academies in a traditional sense, like building a standalone building and hiring staff. No, instead, NAF partners with local school districts to support the launch and operation of career academies within existing public schools. We provide the frameworks, the tools, the trainings, the curriculum guidance aligned to industry needs. We offer ongoing support, quality assurance, and professional development for educators and administrators. And we connect schools with business partners for internships, mentorship, and work-based learning. Next slide, please. So NAF is a leader when it comes to career readiness. And on this slide, you'll see some numbers that we're proud of. So this year, NAF is celebrating 45 years of service. Really excited about that. We service more than 120,000 students in our academies. We operate in 37 states and are focused on growth, of course. And students in our academies have a 99% graduation rate, which compared to the national average, which is in the high 80s, we're really excited about that and the work that's being done in our academies. And Florida is a key market for NAF. We have more than 150 academies in Florida. We service more than 40,000 students at 65 high schools. In Broward County, for example, there's 18 academies at 9 high schools. Next slide, please. So let's talk a little bit about NoPro and why NAF built it and what the purpose behind it, right? So NAF wants students outside of our academies to have access to free quality work-based learning as well. And the best way to do that is through a technology product. Thus, we have NoPro, which is a completely free, 100% free web-based platform that provides work-based learning opportunities to all high school students in America. It enables students to explore careers, build their confidence, build career clarity on what they want to do in the future, and develop essential employability skills, including communication, problem solving, digital literacy, and critical thinking. What's really important to us is that students have resume-worthy learning experiences that they can highlight on their resume and discuss in their job and internship interviews. Next slide, please. So NoPro is where students go to build the skills that matter tomorrow. So what is NoPro offering, right? There's two core offerings when it comes to NoPro. The first is a daily 5 to 10 minute skill builder that makes students think critically about problems and ideas that are relevant to today's business landscape. Most teachers are using skill builders as a do now or a bell ringer at the beginning of class. The second is a monthly project-based challenge sponsored by a top company. We call these challenges, and students build projects in teams or solo and present their ideas virtually for a chance to win a large cash prize. I would note that since the launch of NoPro, we've awarded more than $200,000 to students in schools and will continue doing so. And these challenges are sponsored by companies like KPMG, shout out to my man Joel, Lenovo, American Express, and others. And these challenges cover various topics like entrepreneurship, AI, gaming, engineering, healthcare, and others. So we have something for everybody. Go back one more time, please. With our skill builders, there's a $100 giveaway every day, Monday through Friday, to a student just for completing our skill builder. With our monthly challenges, there's a $10,000 in cash prizes awarded to the top 3 teams. Now they share that $10,000. First place will get 5,000, second place will get 3,000, third place will get 2,000. And so how that works is every challenge, we have hundreds of submissions. We have the tedious but rewarding job of judging these projects and then finding the top 5. We then give those top 5 to our sponsor, whether that's KPMG, Lenovo, Delta Dental, whoever that is, and then they will decide who are the top 3 teams. First place, second place, and third place. We will then notify the students and the schools and get them paid, which is really, really great process. Love doing that. And so to recap, just to level set, NoPro is free for students and high school teachers. We give away significant amounts of money every month, and students get resume-worthy learning experiences that they can highlight and talk through when they go into their first interviews. And so we think that's an incredible value proposition, and very few products on the market are like that. So we can keep this slide. We can go back. Yeah, right there. We can stay there. So let's talk a little bit about NoPro's impact on Florida, because Florida is absolutely killing it. And I had the opportunity to go to Miami recently and just brag about the great work that's happening on the ground in Florida when it comes to NoPro. So first, excited to share that about 26% of our user base comes from Florida. We've already awarded more than $38,000 to Florida students so far. About 50 Florida high school students have won our daily skill builder, each of them earning a $100 e-gift card. And in our most recent challenge, which was titled Tiny Teeth, Big Impact, and it's sponsored by Delta Dental, third place and second place were Florida students. And so just to kind of give you an idea of how these challenges work, again, the most recent challenge was Tiny Teeth, Big Impact, sponsored by Delta Dental. And here was the topic. We said, hey, high school students, did you know that babies and toddlers are the least likely to visit the dentist? Because parents and caregivers typically don't realize how important it is to get their kids to go that early. So in this challenge, high school students will explore how can we get parents and caregivers from all walks of life excited about taking their little ones to the dentist. Now, I use the word excited loosely. It's never really exciting to go to the dentist, but I think you get the point there. And what you'll see here on the screen on the left, you'll see the group who they had a really, at a high level, they had a really cool idea around creating national marketing campaign around smart packaging that would go on baby food products. And with a QR code, you could scan it and get really short tidbits on tips and suggestions, ADA recommended suggestions on just kind of keeping your kids involved with the dentist and how to make the dentist a more pleasant experience, if you will. And on the right there, you see with Ella, at a high level, she essentially came up with an idea around a smart toothbrush that sends brushing data to your local dentist to have them review and monitor your toddler's oral health. The toothbrush would help parents develop healthy habits around oral care. It was much more detailed than this. I'm just kind of giving you the the overview of what they created, but it was really, really cool, really awesome. And Delta Dental thought so also, which is why 2 Florida students out of hundreds of submissions won and got paid out. Second place was 3,000 and third place was 2,000, as I mentioned. So really, really cool, inspiring projects that are being developed by students, especially in the Florida area. I will just say as a quick side note, I have a toddler who just turned 2, and it is a fight every day to brush his teeth. So I was very excited about this topic, and hopefully I can learn something that would help me and my wife. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, really cool project ideas. Next slide, please. And so I will leave you with this. I would encourage you to partner with NAF and get involved with NoPro, please join our network as a business partner, a mentor, or a sponsor. Help us expand our reach in Florida. There's still many schools and students that we need to um, connect with, and with your help, we can do that. And then lastly, you can help measure impact. You can request analytics and data that help you track our growth and NoPro's effectiveness. So I believe that's my 10-minute time, so I will stop there. But thank you for listening, and I'm happy to take any questions that we have at the end.
Thank you so much, RJ. I really appreciate all the resources and information you shared. Also, we'll share the Elmo toothbrush song. For sure saved me when my son was 2. So definitely recommend that for you. I want to transition us to our employer spotlight. Joelle Blamey from KPMG. We're so excited to have you kind of give your perspective about, again, we know for employers this is time consuming and why that work is worth doing, as well as some examples. So I'll have Joel take it from here. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Rachel, and thank you, RJ. Good morning, everyone. I'm honored, to be honest, to join this important conversation about preparing the next generation of talent. At KPMG, we believe that investing in our young people is not just a responsibility, but it's actually a strategic imperative. That's why we're proud to partner with NAF and support initiatives like No Pro Challenge that we just heard, which brings real-world learning to life for high school students across the country. My name is Joel Blamey. I'm a tax partner at KPMG based in Miami. I recently celebrated 18 wonderful years at KPMG, where I had the privilege to working alongside incredible professionals, serving many clients across a variety of industries, and I witnessed, most importantly, firsthand, the professional development of many young students. In addition to my role at KPMG, I've actually been actively involved with NAF since 2015, specifically with one of the academies, and that is the Academy of Finance. It's truly been an honor to contribute to such an amazing and impactful organization, and I'm proud to currently serve as a chair of the executive board. This work aligns with KPMG's purposes, which is to inspire confidence and empower change. And it's one of the ways that we bring the purpose to life in the communities where we live and we work. See, change the slides, so thank you for that. Our relationship with NAS goes back to actually 2010. Since then, we have grown our engagement to include actually 14 active markets and many KPMG professionals serving on local advisory boards from Montvale to Miami and Dallas to Detroit. Throughout this partnership, we're helping students become college, career, and actual future ready by offering work-based learning experiences, mentorship, and exposure to real business challenges. Slide, please. As we just heard from RJ, NoPro is free, web-based platform which is powered by NAF that gives high school students the opportunity to solve real-world business problems. It's open to all students 13 and older, and not just those in NAF Academy. Last fall, KPMG sponsored our first NoPro Challenge, and it was NAF's largest to date, with over 1,000 students participating. Specifically, KPMG sponsored the KPMG AI Business Revolution Challenge, transform your favorite business with AI. What this challenge entailed was that actually invited high school students to explore how AI can be used to improve businesses. Students were tasked with developing ideas for new products, business line, and marketing campaigns that utilizes artificial intelligence to enhance the product or the service that they provide, boost customer service, and of course, drive business growth. Students could choose to work individually or in teams, and they received constant feedback from virtual mentors, including professionals from KPMG, throughout the entire challenge. These challenges aren't just academy exercises. They're building blocks for the future workforce. Students gain critical thinking, communication, and collaboration skill. They learn how to take an idea from concept to a presentation. And they get exposure to professionals who look like them, who believe in them, and who actually are investing in their success. For KPMG, it's a chance to live our values and show up as the employer of choice. After last year's very successful, we were excited to sponsor our second NoPro Challenge this fall, which is going to run from September 15 to October 15. And this year's challenge will again focus about AI and innovation, diving into AI for startups, exploring how AI can help businesses work smarter and serve customer better. Our sponsorship is not just a logo, it's a commitment to and partnership to shaping the future workforce by connecting students with real world business challenges and professional mentorships. As you can imagine, student participators in NoPro will gain hands-on experience that mirror what it's like to work in professional environments, building skills in problem solving, communication, and more importantly, innovation with the help of our employee volunteers and mentors. Our professionals help to bring the work to life. This is where the magic happens. When a student hears directly from a professional about how they use AI on their day-to-day work, and when a partner gives feedbacks on a student presentation. Specifically, in Miami, we have hosted many work-based learning activities, including job shadow days, participated in career panels, and supported students through many activities, including resume building workshops, public speaking workshops, mock interviews, as well as many other. These engagements complement programs like NoPro and reinforce our commitment to hands-on learning. As I previously mentioned, I had the privilege to have been involved with NAF for the last 10 years, and without hesitation, I can tell you that some of the best summers in the office were when we hosted high school interns. From a personal perspective, I can tell you that it's truly inspiring seeing the professionalism and the drive that the students bring to the table. And it's extremely rewarding knowing that we can all make a real difference for our students in our community. We all know that internships provide an opportunity to identify and cultivate future talent. By mentoring and training interns, organizations such as KPMG can assess their skill and potential for long-term employment, creating a pipeline of well-prepared candidates for future positions. Interns also contribute to increased productivity by assisting with projects and tasks, which allow our full-time professionals to focus on more strategic initiatives. As a partner at KPMG, I would love for every past and current intern to be part of our organization for many and many years. However, the reality is that students' interests change and other opportunities present themselves to continue to grow as a professional. But don't be deterred by the possibility of having some of the intern for a short period of time, because the most important aspect of what we do as business partner is to provide a platform for students to grow and thrive. And again, the impact that you can make for the professional career is truly priceless. I can also share that it's extremely gratifying seeing young professionals succeed. A couple of years ago, I received a call from a student who interned in my department in 2016, 2017. He called to share that he was working as an investment banker in New York and he was truly realizing a professional goal. The call was not only to share his success, but was actually to thank KPMG, our professionals, and the community for helping him succeed as a professional. That, to be honest, it was one of the best calls I received, and it completely validated why we all invest our time for this great cause. In closing, I will say this. The future of work starts with the future of learners. Programs like NoPro and other work-based learning initiatives are helping to close the opportunity gap and build a more rounded, prepared, and inspired workforce. At KPMG, we're truly proud to be part of the journey and invite others to join on this journey as well. I want to thank you, everybody, Rachel, for the space today, and definitely look forward to the Q&A session later in the webinar.
Thank you so much, Joelle. Appreciate your examples and also, the commitment that you all have to mentoring and really putting in the time to help our next generation of learners. We'll transition now to one of our Future of Work Advisory Board members, Ralph Aiello, and he really focuses on partnerships and work-based learning opportunities and growing that here in Florida. And so, Ralph, thank you for being here today. I'm excited to share a little bit more about Zello and those opportunities there.
Thank you, Rachel, and hello, I'm Aiello from Zello, and definitely want to say thank you to our partners at NAF and KPMG. In my previous life, I was also the District Director of School Counseling and Guidance in Broward County Public Schools for 12 years, so I was able to see firsthand the impact that programs like NAF have And it's fantastic. And now I get to see it across the state in many districts. So definitely want to encourage everybody to get engaged, because it's really going to take the village to help raise the children. Our job is really to build a network that brings together chambers of commerce, educational partners, business partners, economic development councils, local college access networks, and whoever has a vested interest in building a talent pipeline that's going to fill those high demand, high wage careers that we so desperately need here in Florida over the next several years and beyond. So when we think about the Florida Chamber's 2030 blueprint, there are a number of tactics that we have in order to achieve our goals. We want to make sure that we start providing advisement to students earlier in their educational career, such as going back into middle school, so students can start to explore who they are and start to understand how the world of work and education and employment, things of that nature. This way they can enter into high school in a smooth transition and enter into the courses they need so they can become in career technical education programs, get to those advanced placement, AP, IB, dual enrollment courses, and so on. And this way they can eventually graduate with not just with the diploma, but hopefully some form of a credential, like an industry certification that will get them some form of employment in the workforce, or building up that resume that would give them additional clout for their college admissions or employment or enlistment in the military. But most importantly, as you've heard all day today, we don't want students just getting the technical skills in the classroom. We want them to learn and to get their credits and to graduate, but we also need them to get hands-on experience in the real world. We need to make sure that students are, actually enjoying what they think they want to go into. They might think that they want to be a nurse, and then they find out that they don't like being around sick people or blood. Or we want to make sure that they develop the skills so when they enter the workforce, they are ready to hit the ground running. And we also want to make sure that they develop those professional networks. So the state of Florida did an RFP about 2.5 years ago in order to identify a standard system that all 67 school districts in the state would be able to utilize K through 12 in adult education. And Zello was selected as that statewide vendor. And we are now in use in all 67 school districts in some capacity. This past school year was our first full year of implementation statewide, and we had over 1 million unique students use Zello. And they used it over 5.5 million times, so on average about 5.5 times each. So fantastic momentum going into the second full year of implementation. We also had an organization did a research study on Zello's implementation in Florida, and they found empirical evidence that almost 30% of students felt more prepared for a career after they graduated if they use Zello to do their self-assessments and to identify their future plans and to develop that pathway in order to be successful. And so we keep hearing work-based learning talked about a lot today, and there is an actual state statute that defines work-based learning, and it has to do with connecting the classroom to the real world. So we tie the standards of what's happening in the classroom, what the students are learning, to what they're actually doing while they're at their employment site or their whatever opportunity that they are participating in. So the two go hand in hand. And we also want to make sure that they get hands-on. We want to make sure that students aren't, just in the front office answering the phone when they're supposed to be, doing whatever their, career pathway is supposed to be teaching them otherwise. And we want to get them, again, connected with those industry professionals, because, again, it's not what you know, it's who you know oftentimes. And especially when we think of students coming from some of our most economically challenged zip codes that we have a focus on in our blueprint, they don't necessarily have that. Without having our partners in the business community, in our families, and our other networks to step up and to be able to connect with our students, they'll never be able to have those connections that are going to be able to get them to their next steps. So when we think about work-based learning, we'll go back one. There we go. There is a continuum. So yes, we certainly want you all to, if possible, to offer those intensive, longer duration opportunities, such as apprenticeships or internships or part-time jobs. But we recognize that that's not going to be possible for everybody, especially right away. Some of you may even have some obstacles, like not being able to have students who are under the age of 18 to be able to participate in some of your activities. And that's fine. We certainly encourage you and we will support you every step of the way. We have all kinds of resources in order to help prepare you to offer those types of opportunities. So you're not starting from scratch, you're not reinventing the wheel. We will be there to help support you every step of the way. But if you can't offer those intensive opportunities, you can still get involved. You can still be a guest speaker in a classroom to share with students what it is that you do. I promise you that students don't know what they don't know. And unless we tell them, they're never really going to figure it out. I know our next speaker here from Coca-Cola. I was with a bunch of students the other day and we asked them what types of careers are offered at Coca-Cola, and they just think that they put the soda in the bottle and that's all they do. But there are quite a number of careers that are available at Coca-Cola and other organizations, from marketing to legal to accounting to logistics and transportation and so on, that students don't necessarily recognize, and we need to be able to connect those students with those opportunities based on their interests. We can participate in career fairs. Every 11th and 12th grader in the state by law has to have access to a career fair on an annual basis. So if you can imagine being a school counselor or being a teacher who's putting on a career fair, particularly in some of our communities in rural areas or where those industries are not present, they don't know how to access an aerospace engineer or a veterinarian or a welder or a plumber. We need to be able to create a statewide Rolodex that's going to be somewhere where the teachers can tap into those resources and be able to bring professionals in person on a virtual level. We need people to help with resume reviews. We need help with mock interviews. We need help with site visits. You would be amazed that students have never been to your types of organizations. I live in Broward County, and you'd be amazed how many kids have never made it to the beach, let alone been to a factory to see what it is in the manufacturing world. So we need businesses and our partners to be able to create these opportunities, to create that awareness and create that exposure. We need mentoring. We need job shadowing. We need whatever assistance that you're willing to provide. We will take you where you are, and then we will support you every step of the way. And as you get more comfortable, as you have more capacity, we will level up and take it from there. And next slide, please. Okay. And why get involved? Okay. So first of all, this is a fantastic return on your investment. As you start to develop your talent pipelines, you're discovering talent as they're young, and you're able to mold them in the image that you want them to be. You help teach them your values, your culture, how you do things around here. This way, they could, when they actually graduate and they enter into your organization, again, they're ready to hit the ground running. So you don't have as much onboarding, you don't have as much turnover, and the percentage of your success rate is much higher. I hear all the time about how we have all this demand for labor, but we don't necessarily have the supply. Well, I'm here to tell you that we have over 2.8 million students in the state of Florida who are that next generation of supply for your talent pipelines. That's Generation Z and Generation Alpha that has entered this pipeline, and we need to do everything we can to prepare them for the world of work. You're also able to promote your business. As you're going to see on the next slide when we get there, that you're actually going to be able to create profiles that are going to give you brand visibility to all 2.8 million students in the state and their parents and all the schools and their teachers. It helps when you're promoting and supporting your communities. That's great PR. That's a great way to make sure that your local communities are thriving and make sure that you are really focusing on becoming the economic engine of your area. And you're also part of a statewide network. Yes, we want to focus locally because we want to keep our best and our brightest right here in our own backyards. But again, we have over 2.8 million students across the state that we have unlimited potential to be able to cultivate and to identify and recruit into your communities, into your industries. And as students who are in Franklin County need access to somebody who is an astronaut, we could possibly bring in somebody from the Space Coast to be able to help them with that support. And next slide, please. So how do you get involved? So with Zello, where students are taking their, their assessments to figure out, their personality styles and their learning styles, are they tactile, visual, hands-on learners? And as they get connected with careers that match their personalized data, and they're researching those careers, and because we're the Department of Education's, partner, we have all the Department of Labor statistics on what are the high demand careers, what are the actual wages in your community, so students can really understand what opportunities are available to them and what education do they need in order to access those opportunities. But very importantly, we want them to know not just generically, this is the pathway, this is the education, but which companies in their local communities offer those careers. So if I wanted to become a plumber, which companies in my local community offer careers in plumbing? Or more broadly, which companies across the state offer those particular careers? And we also want them to be able to see which work-based learning opportunities they have. So if you are having that webinar, you're having that site visit, you are willing to be a mentor or guest speaker, you do have that internship or apprenticeship, students will be connected to that based on their data and be able to access your registration, your application, or whatever it is in a very streamlined fashion. And the best part about all this, because the Florida Department of Education has partnered with us through at least the year 2028, this is all free. So every one of you on the line here today has the opportunity to get a free profile in Zello where you can have your logo, your title, your About Me section, all those careers that you offer at your organization, all those work-based learning opportunities that you want to provide, and it gets connected to the students again based on their data. The other day, I was working with an organization to talk about manufacturing careers, which is a major focus of our 2030 blueprint. And when I went into the data in the region that they were looking at, we had over 13,500 students who had saved manufacturing careers as their favorite career. That is incredible. Now we're able to identify those students, group those students, and outreach directly to them in an intentional way to make sure that they have the awareness and access to those companies, to those opportunities in partnership with our school districts. And just like earlier we saw about the Florida Chamber's Immersion program, it's not just to access information for the students, it's for the teachers as well. So if you want to have a teacher bring a class, on a field trip to your facility, you can post an opportunity for the teachers. If you want to have a teacher externship like the Immersion program over the summer, we can put that into the database so teachers can find out what opportunities are available for them as well. And the only thing you have to do in order to get signed up is go to our website at zello.world/FloridaWBL or scan this QR code. You fill out a contact form, what's your name, what's your email, and what's your company. And that comes directly to me. And I will work with you personally to help you get set up on what your work-based learning opportunities are, get your profile set up. We'll do all the work for you so you don't have to do anything other than focus on helping our students become prepared to be future ready in the real world. So we appreciate everybody's support. Please, we cannot get students future ready without real world partners like you. So we desperately need you to get engaged in one capacity or another. Take this information back to your organizations, to your networks, and share it alike. And we'd be happy to be your partners going forward. So thank you again for what you're doing for Florida and all of our students. And we look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ralph. I'm going to turn it over to Lori to bring us home with some employer perspective and real world examples about how Coke Florida is stepping up and offering these experiences. So go ahead, Lori. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, Rachel. And thank you so much for this opportunity with the Florida Chamber Foundation and this amazing panel that we've had so far today around building workforce learning. Ralph, by the way, I completely understand what you're talking about because my 11-year-old up until probably a year or two ago thought I was the one that stirred the vat of Coke at this. So thank you, everyone, and great here to be with you today. Coke Florida, or Coke Cold Beverages Florida, we are the local independent bottler for the majority of the state of Florida. So we are not directly tied into the Coca-Cola company that many of you know that's based in Atlanta. We live and work and serve in the communities that we are servicing. And so very excited. We are one of the largest employers here in the state of Florida, and we service everywhere except the Panhandle. That is with another bottler out of the the Atlanta and Alabama area. And so we are, again, one of those employers that we live and work here, and we are excited to be able to provide those job opportunities to all of the different counties that we service. And so one of the things that that I want to talk about today is really how we develop our talent. So when we get new associates in, and oftentimes we don't have the most glamorous jobs. Yes, we have a lot of the supporting enabling functions like HR and IT and legal and marketing, et cetera. But when you're out in the Florida area and you're in a grocery store, you're in a convenience store, and you see someone stocking the shelves, or you see someone delivering it on that big red truck, those are a lot of the jobs that we have that make up the majority of our workforce. And so when we think about the culture of our associate population, they're not glamorous jobs, but how do we entice people to want those jobs? And Ralph, when you said so many people in your survey wanted manufacturing jobs, great, send them our way. But when we think about the different types of skill sets that are needed, we want to make sure that we are not only teaching them the skills that they need to be successful in the roles that they have, but we also want to make sure they're doing it in a safe way. And so over the past, I'll say 2 years, we've been on a journey to really amp up the things that we do to train all of our associates, not only to be successful, but in a safe way. And so the first one is reimagining our powered industrial truck training, what we call PIT training. Those are the forklifts and the hand trucks and the things that we use in the warehouse, and also within on the trucks when we're delivering to our various customers. And so historically, that PIT training has been in an e-learning format where they learn about how to use the equipment, they learn the basics of the equipment and the technologies themselves and how they operate, and then they work with a local either supervisor or trainer to actually practice on the equipment. And depending on the location, the quality of the trainer that's there, how busy they are that day, we weren't getting a consistent learning experience for every single one of our associates that need to learn the equipment. So next slide, please. So what we did was we reimagined it, and we built our PIT training into now, typically it is a full day program, anywhere from about a 3/4 day to a full day program on every single piece of equipment. And that consists of a combination of classroom training, where it is very much highly engaged classroom training to really understand the piece of equipment, how it operates, all the safety protocols, why we use certain equipment for certain jobs and other equipment for different types of jobs within that warehouse, et cetera. And then once they've done that, then we go out and we have a very standardized set of floor modules where they not only learn from what we call an I do, we do, you do model. So the instructor will demonstrate how to use the equipment. They will then take the either associate or team of associates they're training. They will take them through it in a more group setting, making sure they understand how to use the equipment safely. And then each one goes in and they demonstrate it themselves, so they understand, yes, I can actually do this on my own. So it's that I do, we do, you do approach. And so as we look at the PIT training, you can see some pictures here. They're in the classroom, they're hands-on, they're practicing, they're learning from the instructor in a variety of different areas of the warehouse. You can see in some of the text there that we've got a lot of our incident rates. So in our pilot location in the first year, we had identified there were 24 powered industrial truck reportable incidents that, of course, go into our safety protocol. In year 2, after we implemented that powered industrial truck training, that reimagined version, we drastically reduced those number of incidents to 11. So again, much better results in making sure that we emphasize the training, the approach, and the actual practical hands-on in a standardized way. Now in year 3, partial year, they also had 11 to date. That was about 3/4 of the year. So we're seeing, again, some anomalies there, but we're drastically reducing what we had before the training. Once we rolled this out to all of our 18 locations, you can see in that second section there, the full rollout. Again, we had in that first year prior to the rollout, 133 reportable incidents, and we took it down to 97. So again, I'm not sure if there was a little blurb on there if we advance the slide, but I think that was about a 29% reduction, 27%, there you go, in our total incidents. So again, working towards zero is possible. And that's one of the sayings that we use here at Cook, Florida. Zero is possible if we manage that safety culture and emphasize it in our training. So that's the first one, is making sure that we're training our associates on the things that they need to use every day. The next one that we've been working on is our merchandising retention. Our sales merchandisers are those people that are out stocking the shelves. Again, not a glamorous position, but great for people who like to be managing their own time and schedule. They like to own their business or the things that they're doing. They're not sitting behind a desk. They want to be out among the customers, etc. But again, it's a very tough job. It's very demanding physically. There's a lot of responsibility to it. And so we find that we don't always have the best retention rates. I'm sure many of you out there are experiencing those as well in whatever industry you're in. Next slide, please. So our merchandising retention, one of the things again that we saw was that we are very much unstandardized in how we approach how we train our sales merchandisers. There was a core set of curriculum that they took online as well as locally with their leadership, and in conjunction with some training sessions that were done by our training team. That localized leadership training was again not standardized amongst all of our different facilities, so we couldn't replicate the experience from one location to another. So we embarked upon a journey last year to develop what we called our Sales Merchandiser Academy. And that was again a standardized program. And we brought on board several sales merchandising trainers that were out in our larger facilities to provide that standardized training, take the onus off of our sales merchandising leaders. As you can see in that first set of notes there, that we had about a 67% sales merchandising turnover rate, which was not great. And so we built the academy to try to reduce that turnover. We created a week and a half long program that every sales merchandiser within those 6 facilities would go through the training, and it would set them up for success. We started with one single location that had our highest turnover rates, and that was back in late 2023. We took 29 participants through that. We then analyzed the retention rates at that location, which were significantly lower. I don't think I have the data on that, but I believe we were at about an 85% retention rate, which was drastically changed from the 67% turnover rate. And so we rolled out to those 6 locations in 2024, mid 2024 to now mid 2025. And we've now conducted 127 academies with 431 sales merchandising graduates out of the academy. And our turnover after this one was again now down to a 29.9% turnover rate. So over 70% retention, which is fantastic. So if we look at the pictures here, we can see that it again is a combination of in classroom where we learn the theory behind our merchandising process, we learn our safety standards, we learn the different types of equipment and tools that they use while they are in the field working. And then we take them after the classroom portion, we take them out into the trade in small cohorts of about generally 4 to 5. Again, that can vary depending on location, but then they're working in cohorts to learn the actual process by which they should merchandise the different types of stores that we service, whether that be a large store like a grocery store, whether that is a convenience retail store, or even some of our other smaller individual types of independent customers. And so again, great opportunities for them to get the experience they need in a safe environment with a trained professional that goes in and sets them up for success. So that's our second of our kind of onboarding and working with our new associates. But the other thing is that we want to focus on is how do you then progress in your career? So a lot of our jobs when people first come in, if they are not, directly skilled labor, they come in as what we call a frontline associate, which might be a general laborer. It might be somebody just working in the warehouse preparing the orders. It might be someone on our production line that is just helping with the production line operation. But we want to give them opportunities for career growth. And so one of the things that we established a couple of years ago is what we call our Driver Academy. And this is an opportunity for any of our frontline associates, whether they're in the warehouse, if they're in our sales environment, if they're in our production environment, to say, you know what, I want to get my CDL. I want to become a driver because that is a higher paying job. It gives me more opportunities for career growth. But it's not easy to get your CDL. It's also not cheap to get your CDL if anyone is in an industry where that is something that you need as part of your workforce. And so we established our Driver Academy program, which allows our associates to step up and say, I want to do this. And there are some parameters around it. They have to meet certain requirements in order to be part of the Driver Academy. But what happens, and you can go to the next slide, is it is a 21-day just immersive CDL program. And we go back. Perfect, thank you. And during that time, if they're selected for the program, they actually live, we house them for that 21 days. They get a meal stipend where they can, purchase their meals, etc. They do have to live away from their families, unfortunately, if they're not in the Tampa area. But again, in that 21 days, they go in and they learn how to get their CDL, they take their CDL test, and in the end of the 21 days, they either pass the test or not. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. But once they graduate from the program with their CDL, they are offered the next open driving position within our organization. If they are offered that position, there is a 2-year commitment required on their end, so that again, we're not just paying for them to get their CDL and leave, but we want to make sure that they're staying with us at least for 2 years. And the exciting part of this is we've had a 95% completion rate since we started this process. In 2024, we had 47 associates go through it. And this year, we're very excited year to date. So halfway through the year, we've had 23 associates. So we're on track to at least equal or go past what we did last year. The focus of the program, you can see in the red box, is they start in the classroom for a week, just getting their CDL permits. Again, they don't even have to have their permit when they start this program. They get that permit, and then in week 2, they're focused on learning how to actually drive the truck, both manual transmission as well as the automatic transmission. They learn how to park it, ride it, run the trailer, both the truck and the trailer itself, because that's important. And then in week 3, they're really focusing on driving and practicing to get ready for their test and practice to take the test at the end of that 3rd week. So really exciting. It gives so many of our associates an opportunity to advance their career and really promote themselves and change their lives and potentially their families' lives. And so those are the success stories that I'll talk about as we wrap up today. These are just a few of our success stories in the next few slides. You can go to the next one. And so we have both Wesley and Alex. They both started out as frontline associates. Wesley has, as you can read there, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's changed his life. He joined the academy really to provide a better life for his family. And what I love about this is it changes lives in a personal way. That 21 days that he was away from his family and his young son, he brought artwork to stay connected to the family and be able to talk to them at night, etc. But that was really his reminder as to why he's doing this, is to change his life for himself and his family. Alex, same thing out of our Fort Myers location. Really, it was his opportunity to invest in himself, but also to know that his employer would take that time to invest in him, to allow him to advance his career. And again, now he's thinking about what else can he do with Coke, Florida. It might become a supervisor. It might lead to that next opportunity for him. We'll keep moving, because I know actually we're ahead of time. I'll wrap these up very quickly. We've got Charles and Pablo. Again, they're also part of our program that have been able to advance their careers for themselves and their families. And lastly, John and Emilio out of our Brevard and Jacksonville. So not just our Tampa location, but everyone's been able to change their lives. So I know we're a little over time, Rachel, so I'll turn it back to you.
No, thank you so much. So one thing I will note about just these, opportunities that were shared by Lori and the Coke Florida team truly are all on our high demand careers list that I shared before, that top 30. So the truck driving opportunity and some of the other opportunities shared, those show up consistently in the careers that will have the top growth and replacement projections for 2032. So just excellent opportunities for folks. And again, want to thank all of our speakers. We were able to answer the Q&A throughout the webinar actually that were put in there. I was able to kind of do that. So with that, I'm just going to kind of close us out with the next steps for engagement for those who are interested. We will be having a back to school data hub kickoff and kind of get into some interesting takeaways from our Florida Talent Center data hub that I had mentioned earlier. There's a QR code and these will be sent out after. And then finally, if you are interested, we send out a monthly newsletter at we just sent one out earlier this week. So the next one will come out in August, but definitely encourage you to, get involved, sign up for that newsletter, and stay in touch with us. So thank you all for sticking with us. And again, to our speakers for providing, those real world examples about how we're all contributing to this cause. So have a great Wednesday and we'll be in touch soon. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.